Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And welcome to the February 2020 meeting of Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Board Chair Craig Moody is unable to attend today's meeting. In his absence as Vice Chair, I will act as Chair of the meeting. First, I will ask Tim Burke, President and CEO, to give the safety briefing.
Great, thank you very much. You're in the auditorium on the in Energy Plaza. There are several exits to the room. Most of you in front of me came through one of those exits. In the event of an emergency, you will exit through the Harney Street side of the building, which will be as you go out on the right-hand side, almost to the cafeteria and to the right-hand side. An emergency response team member will assist in the evacuation and or sheltering. The fire extinguishers are near the door, near conference room A, which is out one of these doors and just around the corner on the right-hand side. If you have a medical condition, we would ask you to write it down or to please tell your neighbor. The AED and the first aid kit are on the brick wall right as you would go into the cafeteria area, right outside these rear doors, and they are one on top of each other. Is anybody here certified in the use of an AED or in CPR? Very good. We have quite a few people certified here. In case of emergency, Mo, or I guess I would ask Rod, would you call 911 in the event that we need it?
I will.
Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. In a case of a fire, we would ask you not to use the elevators. Even though I don't think we would need to use that here, we would essentially go straight out to the cafeteria to the right off of Harney Street. But in the event we needed to use the stairs, we would ask you to use your three-point touch, one hand on the railing and 2 feet on the ground. We don't anticipate any tornado or any other severe weather outside of cold. But our emergency response team members will direct the public and the board and the senior team to appropriate locations. So with that, that concludes my safety briefing.
Thank you very much. Now let's run through our list of guidelines for the conduct of the meeting. First and foremost, please silence your electronic devices. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public upon entering the meeting. This meeting is streaming live on the internet at OPPD.com. Our regular board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are a part of the official public record. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to adjournment of the meeting, you will have an opportunity to comment on any other OPPD matters. If you wish to speak, please address the microphone to your far left and state your name and address, and state the name of any organization or person you are representing. Organizations should choose one representative to speak on their behalf. Each individual speaking will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we use a red, yellow, green light indicator to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Hinners will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. Please direct, if you speak, your comments to me. I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. If you brought written materials, Ms. Hinners will receive them on our behalf. Ms. Hinners, will you please take the roll call?
So first, I'll note that we have 3 board members who are unable to attend today's meeting. Director Gay, Director McGuire, and Director Moody are not able to attend. With that, Bogner.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Molhoff.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Announcement regarding public notice of meeting. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in outlets newsletter and on OPPD.com. By displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since February 7th, 2020, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection in the public meeting book located in this meeting room. The consent agenda items are as follows. Item 5, approval of the January 2020 meeting minutes and the February 13th, 2020 agenda. Item 6, 2020 railroad easement acquisitions, resolution number 6360. Item 7, underground residential development contract, resolution number 6361. Item 8, 69 13.8 kV MVA OLTC transformer, resolution number 6362. And item 9, Board Standing Committee Assignments, Resolution Number 6363. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items, I need a motion and a second to approve the items.
Move.
Second.
Very good. Opportunity for public comment only. So we discussed each of these action items at the committee meeting on Tuesday. Is there anyone who's interested in making comment? Any member of the public? Okay. And then just as we checked with our parliamentarian, just to let everybody know the technical note, that we'd have quorum with 5. It takes all 5 to pass something. Okay. So with no notes,
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Go ahead.
Okay. Agenda item 10 is board discussion action item SD4 Reliability Monitoring Report, Resolution Number 6364. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors accepts the 2019 SD4 Reliability Monitoring Report in the form as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof, and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated. Motion and second?
I would make the motion, but I think it's
I should.
probably
I'll make the
best
motion.
to, there you go, thank you.
Second.
Okay.
And with that, I'm happy to start off. This is not on the consent item because on Tuesday, a couple of board members asked to speak to it. And with that,
This is, reliability is a big issue for our customers. And the reason I wanted to have this on the discussion is because last year was a rough year for folks around the district with the flooding. And reliability was really key to recovery from the flooding. And especially in the area that where I am the representative, from Blair all the way down to Ashland, there was flooding all over. And maintaining reliability was really key in our recovery in that area. But also the good news for my neighborhood, which is Ceresco, Colon, Wahoo, North Bend, Meade, and Utan, the district has really been taking extra measures and budgeting extra money to make sure that all the lines, the substations, and everything is up to standard, and preventing some of the outages that we've had in the past. And so I just want to commend Troy's team for the work that they've been doing, but to the whole district for allocating additional funds to making sure that these systems are hardened so that we have good reliability in those outlying areas far away from the Omaha center. So thank you.
thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, traditionally, we've thought about reliability. You thought about the grid system itself, the poles and the lines and stuff. But obviously, in the last couple of years, with the flooding issues that have come up and beavers,
Beavers.
obviously the production plants, the security of those facilities has become a challenge due to the flooding and stuff. And we're certainly thankful and appreciate the hard work that's been done with the organization to rise to the challenge in these regards. And we certainly appreciate it and certainly agree that we're in compliance with this policy.
Great. I'd like to add my own voice and my own thanks. I too represent a rural district, and I think I made mention of the fact, I don't know that I did on Tuesday's meeting, that in the course some of the reading I've been doing for my own job, I've run across some surveys that have been filled out by the emergency managers in counties around the state. So the most recent survey I saw was some time ago. It was for the 2014 Hazard Mitigation Plan for the state. And I noticed that our counties are particularly acutely aware of the risk of an 8-hour or greater power outage. So that was 2014. What I really like is that in the past year. Is it just this past year that we upped the amount of money that is being spent on vegetation? And I've 2 years.
Last 2 years.
Thank you very much. The past 2 years, so that has gone up, and it's had a good impact. I also appreciated in the report out the structure of inspecting and predictive maintenance that's going on, as well as the hardening of the systems. I really think it's a great response and a great approach to providing reliability. So thank you very much for that. Yeah.
So reliability is not just a rural issue, and so as someone that represents a non-rural area, I'm also excited to see that we're making investment all over the district in both rural and non-rural areas. And I think it's really wonderful that we're implementing technology that's going to allow us to be able to respond to outages quicker, know where they are, so we can fix them in a faster way, both in rural areas and non-rural areas.
That's right. It's important to get a signal other than the phone call from the unhappy customer. So thank you. Yes, sir.
During this discussion, we talked about some of the new technology that's been deployed in the northeast Omaha portion for kind of the reclosers that help to decrease some of the outage minutes. And I want to compliment staff on evaluating that new technology, implementing that, and some of the great results that were documented in the report about the decreased number of minutes of outages that we were seeing. So that's a big step forward. And I look forward to more deployment of that kind of new technology so we can keep improving on those metrics that we're doing well on, but we have some increased opportunity in the future. In addition to the title of this one, reliability, we've talked a couple different times in the systems committee and in the all committee meeting about the differences between reliability and resiliency. And I think that's something that we have some additional work to do on the systems committee in the future. And I think Director Molhoff and I are looking forward to continuing some of that work in that committee, because understanding the difference between those two terms and how we evaluate them and how we quantify and take metrics on are we delivering the reliability versus the resilience that we're looking for. I think that's a really challenging area. It's a fine line of distinction, but it's an area where some additional investigation and additional understanding of how are we performing and how should we be expected to perform in the future. I think that's very important work, and I look forward to handling that moving forward and determining where in either this monitoring report or in other monitoring reports we might see some of that work come forward and be reported so that our customer owners know that we're focusing on all of the areas that are really important. So it's a big step forward there as well.
Thank you, Director Williams, for that note. And I think you've heard that we're all very happy with the escalation and meeting the challenges that the system gives us, and look forward to the continued work that you have in front of the excellent job that you'll be doing. Anyone from the public wish to speak to SD4? All right. Mo?
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Molhoff,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Terrific. So, Ms. Henners, what's next on the agenda?
Item 11 is SD1 Strategic Foundation Monitoring Report, Resolution Number 6365. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors accepts the 2019 SD1 Strategic Foundation Monitoring Report in the form as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof, and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated.
So move.
Second?
Great.
Mr. Acting Chairman.
Yes.
Similar to agenda item 10, this item was initially on the consent agenda. A couple of directors indicated they wish to comment today, so we have it in its current status. This is, again, as Mo mentioned, to approve that management's in compliance with strategic directive number 1. We had a fairly good discussion on Tuesday about this. And,
We did.
And so I feel comfortable that we're in good shape here. And apparently a couple of directors prepared to comment.
Yeah, I'll start since
Okay.
I was the one that made the request.
Oh, that's
Thank
right.
you. Yes. As the name of this call, it says, it's the foundation of this organization. And so I wanted to be able to address that today. And I think that, as we were looking at the monitoring report, there were so many items that were highlighted that were accomplished last year. And, and that was highlighted for us in December at a holiday gathering as well. that the amount of things that this organization accomplished last year is just tremendous. And so it's been a privilege to see the team carry out the mission and the vision of what the board has established, but also keeping mindful of the core values and making sure that everything's executed with those values in mind. So thank you so much. You guys are doing a wonderful job, and I'm so excited to see what we accomplish this year.
Very good. Thank you.
There was one point in this report that I think is really important to focus on, strengthen the public power advantage. In a time of new technology and changing business models, there have been a lot of stories nationally about the benefits or challenges that both public power and private or IOUs face. And I think that there are reports that highlight what a great job public power has been doing both across the state of Nebraska for our customer owners and across the country with generally lower costs overall, higher reliability, and a strong focus on the environmental sensitivity. So I think it's really critical that we do monitor and take steps to strengthen the public power advantage that we have in Nebraska, because it has been an incredible advantage to the people of our state for many years, and I see it as the best path forward into the future as we continue to face those challenges and overcome them. So echoing what Director Bogner said, the accomplishments last year give great confidence to me that as things continue to be challenging in the future, we will continue to see public power deliver the best results for the people of the state.
I think that's a terrific point, and we are seeing other states, or at least portions of states, that are considering shifting to public power. So I think that doesn't happen without excellent execution on the part of OPPD and others like it. So good job, folks. Anyone from the public wish to speak on SD1? Okay, thank you. Roll call, Ms. Henners?
Bogner.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Mulhoff.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So with that business done, then I believe it's time for us to hear from President Burke.
That's right, the President's report, so we'll just jump right in it right away. What we talk about, for those that have never been to one of our board meetings here, we talk a little bit about our generation all the way down to the community, and we talk at the end about safety and give some reflections. So our baseload generation for the month of January is reflected on the screen above here. Most of these units, these are all coal units today. And they are in a variety of different percentage of capacity factors based on either forced outages or derates because of, it could be from wet coal, it could be from a tube leak, it could be from a number of different factors. But those are reflected on this sheet as our January baseload generation. And so we'll go to the next one. But before I do that, I want to talk about two other items that aren't on the list, but you can stay right there, Ms. Henners. I think Mary Fisher discussed in our committee meeting that through the end of January, we had a total of 13 canisters. At the committee meeting, I think you said 15. We're halfway there? 15, halfway there, containing 416 bundles of used fuel that have been safely moved into dry storage. With those 15 to go, the project remains on track for a mid-2020 conclusion. So the teams are doing really well, on budget, on time, and doing it safely as well. And another item I'll report in this area that we've talked about over a period of last couple months is that OPPD's BRIGHT pilot project, BRIGHT stands for Battery Research Innovation Guided by High Potential Technologies, has been recommended for the 2020 Nebraska Environmental Trust grant funding. NET would be the Nebraska Environmental Trust, will conduct a public hearing on April 2nd to affirm the recommendations and officially award the funds. The device will help OPPD gain operational and on-system energy storage experience, and once formally approved by NET and OPPD team will be put in place to commence the project. And it's just another great opportunity for us to kind of continue that extension into new generation, reliability, resilient technologies that we see pretty impactful in the future. On the January peaking generation, we have in front very little use of our peaking facilities, most of our peaking facilities, including certainly units North Omaha 1, 2, and 3, are typically in winter load unless there's a specific system-wide emergency that we would enact, but those are in our winter load, which we don't have firm gas serving those units at this point in time. Our peak load is much lower during the winter than it is during the summer, but that represents our capacity factors for our peaking generation. And our renewables for the month of January contributed to 38.6% of OPPD's retail energy sales, and the wind capacity factor was 45.9%. And the year-to-date numbers are obviously the same as the January numbers, but we'll report on the year-to-date numbers as we move through the year. On VW settlement funds, we had a conversation with the board, and this is becoming more public right now, but there was a Volkswagen settlement process that occurred because of a variety of issues with Volkswagen at the time, and states were allotted funds based on a number of different criteria. The state of Nebraska was identified to receive $12.25 million as part of this settlement with Volkswagen, and about $1.8 million was really focused for EV charging infrastructure that will be allowed by the trust. Eligible applicants, as identified on the screen, were businesses, federal, state, local, tribal governmental agencies, metropolitan transportation planning organizations, and not-for-profit organizations as well. The grant funds can be used for a number of different reasons. They can purchase for the installation of both level 2 and DC fast charging stations. No specific manufacturer requirement is in place. It could also be used for electric service upgrades in the event those are needed, for signage and lighting, network costs, charging equipment extended warranties, and other service contracts. Some of the grant requirements included recipients have to have 2 years to complete the installation projects. They're required to provide data to the Department of Environmental Quality or the NDEE up to 5 years following the project. So it's an opportunity for the state to begin to collect some of that data, as well as for OPPD. You must name and have committed secure locations in your grant applications, and you must pre-educate recipients of demand rates and cost expectations and those kinds of things, which we certainly did. And these are 2 examples of level 2 chargers, which are kind of a 4 to 6 hour charge, and then DC fast chargers, which is typically around a 1 hour charge. And finally, we've identified some areas where these chargers will be put in place, and there was some priority or preferred locations identified by the department at the state level. Highway corridors were really important. Public, community, and destination sites were important, and then workplace sites. And so we identified multiple sites. 5 of those sites were approved at this point in time. One is at the city of Omaha at 17th and Chicago. There's a couple Casey's in here, one in North Bend, one in Blair, one in Syracuse, and then Cabela's in La Vista. And so we're working with each of those areas. I think the La Vista City Council just had a conversation about this as well. And so we'll work with each one of those organizations to finalize the contracts and put those in place. I think that's just a great commitment to our ongoing decarbonization strategies, but also our commitment to make sure we look at new technologies that serve our area and our customers. And we have Miss Carissa up there that was pretty involved in our grant application. So thank you very much, Carissa. So we did a nice job of capturing that money, which is always good. So show us the money. So very good. On Passion to Serve, and this screen right here, we have a young man by the name of Jamari Foster. He was one of our first Legacy I3 students to join OPPD's Transmission and Distribution Department as a line tech. We started with Jamari as a senior in his fall semester and then his spring semester. at high school and began to work with him on areas that he had interest in at OPPD. He had a great interest in being a line technician, so we assigned him an ambassador and some coaches. And I think one of the great examples I'll give you is Brandon Palmer, one of our fine supervisors of transmission and distribution at our Omaha Center, said this quote. He said, "Jamari is one who showed up, took the initiative to learn the trade, sought help from those around him, and worked his tail off." And so he's doing a great job of securing a job here at OPPD, but he also knows it's competitive. One of the rules is just because you kind of go through the legacy program doesn't mean you get a job automatically. He'll be going through a boot camp, and my guess is when he graduates later this spring, he'll be working for a contractor or another company and then coming back to OPPD to get in our boot camp. And my guess is he'll do just fine in that regard. So just another great example of kind of our commitment around diversity and inclusion, but also our commitment about training and developing the next generation of our workforce. And it's a great partnership with our current workforce that have really embodied and embraced our legacy I3 students as well. Another passion to serve as we have gone through in our business, sometimes there are outages. And so our storm and outage center turned 5 years old. It seems like it's been a lot older than that, to be very honest with you. Maybe it's just because I'm a lot older than that. But we've had more than 282,000 visitors and 1.4 million page views, which I think is kind of important. And so we posted hundreds of stories and updates and safety-related items on those, so customers can go to them if we're having storms to see where the outages are occurring, but also get helpful hints about damages that may occur to our systems or even their system. And we tie that to all of our social media channels as well. So it's just a good opportunity to talk about some of the things we're doing to communicate differently and better with customers, specifically as we move forward in the future. And another passion to serve, I think we presented to the board, we did a chronicling, that's tough for me to say and I don't know why, of what happens in a day of a life of an OPPD employee, from our generation side to coal handlers to line technicians to substation operators to cybersecurity folks. And by doing that work, we are recognized by several organizations with some awards. And so the American Public Power Association awarded OPPD for print and digital for not only our chronicling, but also the Line Wives video that we did. And the Public Relations Society of America awards were for community relations, social media, and integrated communications categories. And so it's just a great recognition of the work that Lisa and her team, and I know we have a couple folks in here, Jody, Kate, and Lori, and Tim, and others that are part of that group, doing some great work on what we do. So it's a great recognition of our work. So congratulations to everybody here. And last call. It's always good for a good Irish guy to call last call, but this is for the 13th annual Run and Walk for Warmth. And we don't believe it'll be as cold as it is today on March 7th, but it's on March 7th at Stinson Park at the Exarban Village. Starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can go to heatthestreetsomaha.org to go ahead and sign up. We'd encourage you to do that. And we look forward to raising money, and this money essentially goes in to help people in Omaha who need help on their electric bills. And OPPD is the sponsor organization this year, and Mike and Ann McGuire are the chairs of the event. So we're looking forward to that. I'll see you all there. Oh, yeah. All there on March, thank you very much for that, on March 7th. So thank you. And second to the last slide today, there's a couple visits that we had. I'm sorry, I did it. Of course I did. We have a couple visits here. The OPPD senior team, we're actually going to different kind of organizations and corporations just to learn and get feedback, perspective, and insight on what's going on. And so we had the opportunity a week ago to visit the United States Strategic Command and see the great work that goes on there, but also the work that our employees have done to help support the reliability on the base during the floods. But we heard some really good stories on how, because of our reliability at the base, we were able to save them a significant amount of dollars on some technology that they did not have to engage in because of that reliability. And so we have here Major General Taylor and the STRATCOM team We had OPPD Senior Management. We also had Jim Christ, who's the Director of Customer Service, Dave Ortiz, who's the Senior Account Executive that works with them day in and day out, all hours of the day. And then Tom Lewis, who's a Senior Engineer in our customer group that has done significant amount of energy conservation related initiatives there. I think 27 plus task orders to help them save money and become more efficient. And then in the bottom right, I know there was an editorial that showed up last weekend that OPPD and Sarpy County ought to get together and not fight. This is a picture that happened last Thursday at the Sarpy County Economic Development Corporation event where Don Kelly and I and Dan Hoynes obviously are back together having some good conversations. So I want to let you know that conversation is continuing, and we expect to have ongoing good conversations with a variety of our community and county partners as we move forward. And then lastly is for those of you that haven't been here at our board meeting, we talk about folks that have died in the line of service at OPPD. And this is Wesley P. Hicks. He was a lineman. He died on July 17, 1950 after making contact with a 13 kV line while working near 65th and Craig in Omaha. He was 29 years old with 5 years at OPPD at the time of his death. He was survived by his wife, Dorothy, and a child, and obviously was a veteran. And so it's just a great opportunity for reflect on how critical our work is, but at times our work can be incredibly dangerous, and our folks can be in harm's way at times. So it's just a great remembrance for us. So with that, that concludes the President's report.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the President's report. Glad to hear all the good news, and glad to hear that you're working in Sarpy County and things are moving forward there. With that, it's time for public comments. If anyone wants to speak to the board at this meeting, this is your opportunity. Seeing none, we're adjourned.
Very good.
You're in a meeting.
So noted. So noted.
Congratulations.
You just went out.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very good. Nice job. Nice job.
Thank you, everybody, for making it easy.
Firm control.
Thank you for making it easy.
Board meeting. Very good. That was good. Good job. Yeah, that was good. Always good. Yeah. Good report. Yeah.